I'm Mr. Black, and in this video I'm going to be discussing werewolves and strange creature reports. People have been documenting encounters with lycanthropes since the 1500s, though such tales were often regarded as myths. In modern times, author and researcher Linda Godfrey, through her website and a series of books, has brought the reality of the phenomenon that werewolves might actually exist to the forefront. Since then, a number of researchers have picked up the mantle, including Vic Cundiff, DDoS, and Dark Waters, and have compiled hundreds of encounters with werewolf and bipedal, dog-like entities. It's actually shocking how many encounters have been collected. Between the various researchers, websites, and YouTube channels dedicated to the topic, I estimate that over 1,000 sightings have been collected, and they continue to come in almost on a daily basis. In 1989, a resident of Goshen, Ohio, couldn't believe his eyes when he spotted 4 huge, black, dog-looking creatures running across a field. He recalls that they were running on all fours, and then, at about midfield, they stopped and stood up on their back legs. They then ran the rest of the way across the field on their hind legs at a very fast rate of speed. In 1998, a man driving on Highway 11 in Orfordville, Wisconsin, returning home after visiting a friend, claims that he observed a wolf-like creature sitting on all fours on the right side of the road. As he drew closer to it, the hairy creature then stood up on its hind legs and proceeded to walk in front of his car. He noted that the creature was very hairy, stood 6 feet tall, had a long snout, and strange yellow eyes. After staring at the driver momentarily, the creature took off running on 2 legs across the road into an adjacent cornfield. Needless to say, the witness quickly left the scene. In May 2017, a man in Kenosha, Wisconsin, walking to his girlfriend's house at 3 a.m., claims he had a terrifying run-in with a hairy creature. When I was close to her street, I looked behind a house with an alleyway in the back. I seen, at first, what I thought to be a big deer. But when I looked closer, it was a big humanoid creature bent down sniffing. It turned its head. It was a wolf head. It was big. So I looked even closer. It was a wolf-like man on 2 legs, bent down. It was huge. Desperate to not get his attention, the witness hastily but quietly left the scene. He wanted to go back and have another look, but, quote, something told me not to. On September 21st, 2008, a man going by the initials YL, driving with a friend in Wausau, Wisconsin, also claims to have sighted one of these hairy bipedal creatures. It was sitting on the side of the road eating a deer carcass as he, going about 100 miles per hour in his Audi, zipped past it. It was around 1 or 2 a.m., the witness remembered. The area they were driving in was surrounded by farmers' fields, and the creature was perched next to the markings at the center of the road. Wanting to get another look, YL turned his car around in about 20 seconds and went back, but the creature was gone. They should have been able to see it loping across the field, but it was nowhere in sight. It was as if it had vanished. He and the passenger discussed what they had seen, and both agreed that it was bear-like in size, but with a wolf-like face and teeth and red eyes. YL noted that he had nothing to gain from lying. Curiously, researchers and cryptozoologists have also begun collecting reports of other types of entities that don't necessarily fall under the category of werewolf, dogman, or Bigfoot. These include strange, inexplicable creatures and animals much larger than normally documented. Further, sometimes these animals behave in ways that baffle the witness. In Rancho Alegre, Minas Gerais, Brazil, on September 22, 1997, at around 3 p.m., a farmer by the name of Correa was working down in the valley when he got the strange feeling that he was being watched. So, to be safe, he went and got his gun. As he approached his henhouse, he observed, coming out of a nearby ditch, a dark-colored creature that stood and stared at him with its arm raised and the palm open. He could only see the creature from the waist upward, the rest of it being hidden by the vegetation around the ditch. Correa quickly raised his gun, and as he was about to pull the trigger, a thought came to him. Maybe if I fire my revolver, the thing will make it explode in my face. He simply could not understand why he thought this, but it was clear in his mind. As he stood contemplating what to do, he watched as the creature dove back into the ditch, disappearing behind the vegetation. At this point, he began to smell a strong odor resembling crushed garlic mixed with sulfur. Grabbing his scythe, Correa cut through most of the vegetation near the ditch, but found not the slightest trace of the creature, not a footprint, not anything. Correa claimed the creature he saw was ugly, with a flatter-than-normal head. Further, its eyes were much bigger than a human's, and there were strange yellowish spots on them. Its face was wrinkled and the skin was dark. Its eyes were big and round and unblinking. It had a short goatee of the same shade as its hair, which was reddish-brown. The mouth was half closed and was very wide and a bit squarish. It had two big, broad, very white teeth. In 2016, at around 9 p.m., a man was sitting outside talking to his uncle in his home in Tampa, Florida, near the Hillsborough River, when out of his peripheral vision, he observed a large bat coming towards him. Before it was able to reach him, the witness turned and punched it as hard as he could. The bat, he noted, had a wingspan of 3 to 4 feet. He watched as the bat, now on the ground, seemed to try to recompose itself. Then it did something that frightened the witness and his uncle. It turned to face the witness, apparently readying itself for a second attack. The bat actually began to giggle. It was so loud and so off-putting that the witness and his uncle raced inside the house. In Bolton, England in 2002, a man named Hassan and his younger brother watched as a huge dragonfly, spanning well over 1.5 feet long, flew over their head. It must have been over 1 inch in diameter, as well at the center. I would have questioned myself, but it was witnessed by someone else too. I'm pretty sure it wasn't just me seeing things. He thought that it might have been an RC helicopter, but doubted this given how it moved with such swiftness, agility, and silence, a technology he doubted existed for remote-controlled items back in 2002. I went to the Manchester Museum and checked with the insect experts, and they said it sounds like you've seen something from the prehistoric era, and that no species of dragonfly that exist today are that large. In June 1989, in Frenchburg, Kentucky, a witness going by the initials BK claims they encountered a human-sized woodpecker. They noted that it landed on the top of a building directly across from the building they were walking out of. The woodpecker was 4 feet tall, with a red head, black body, and 4 white rings around the bottom of its wings. As far as I know, woodpeckers don't generally grow to be the size of small humans. In 1995 in Alcade, a small town in northern New Mexico, a man whose house and garage was surrounded by an adobe wall could not believe his eyes one night when 3 large, man-sized owls perched on each side of the wall around his property. He estimated they stood between 4 to 5 feet tall each, and they were making strange, disconcerting crying sounds. The witness became overcome with fright, and he quickly ran around his house, locking all the doors and windows. He prayed for them to leave, and eventually they did. 15 years later, when discussing the incident with a friend, the witness conceded that the event still terrified him. Brandon Walters claims that when he was 3 or 4 years old, he encountered a large, human-sized rabbit standing in his room. I was in my bed and just woken up upon hearing something. It may have been a sleep paralysis thing, I don't know, but I do remember it, and I remember telling people that the Easter Bunny was definitely real and that I'd seen it. Brandon claims that he later told his father about what he saw, and the father, in an attempt to put him at ease, insisted that it was him wearing a bunny costume, though Brandon doubted this. Of course, if you follow this channel, you know that I've discussed similar cases involving sightings of supposed human-sized Easter bunnies.